What's up, guys? It's your boy Wings of Redemption, and I'm back and I'm bringing you a little commentary today about Diablo as a whole, so I'm going to try to do this really quick and I'm going to be talking fast, so go ahead and stick with me. Diablo 1. Keep in mind the series of Diablo, the idea behind Diablo is much grander than the actual three games have put it out to be, which we don't know what the third game entails all the way, but we're going to talk mainly about the first two games. And this is where it stands at. Basically, you have Deckard Cain, which is the one character that's in all three of them. Well, yeah, Deckard Cain is. I'll still trying to think of any other characters in all three of them, which he is a Herodrum Medj. A Herodrum is a group that basically fashioned things called Soul Stones. These Soul Stones helped Heaven basically capture the greater evils of Hell. The greater evils are Mephisto, Baal, and Diablo. Diablo was the main protagonist of the first game, so the series is kind of named after him because the game centered around him. And the second game centered around him coming back and resurrecting his brothers, which, basically the end of Diablo 2 was more about Baal than it was Diablo himself. But Diablo himself was still the hardest of the three superpowers to defeat in Diablo 2. So without further ado, let's go ahead and get into this. Diablo 1 was basically centered around a town called Tristram. Tristram has been in all three of the Diablos so far, and it is a small town where the base of a cathedral. The cathedral is where they decided to hold Diablo, because after the Soul Stones were captured, they had to hide these Soul Stones so nobody could actually get out and unleash the evil powers to walk the earth again. So they decided to bury it in a cave under a cathedral in a town called Tristram. Well, a guy named Lazarus, which was an archbishop of one of the strongest kings out there, the Black King, Leoric, decided to move the throne of Leoric to Tristram. And suddenly there was a plague under it. But little did they know, the actual power of Diablo could reach outside of his crystal and manifest in people's minds and cause madness. Eventually, Diablo summoned Leoric, thinking he could take over Leoric's mind and have a venture down into the pits. Well, Leoric fought him. Leoric was a lot stronger than Diablo predicted, and he ended up driving Leoric mad. Leoric started killing people off in droves and in mountains, and just being a tyrant like in a Saddam Hussein type thing. And eventually, the townspeople stood up, and they ended up killing Leoric. His first knight, Lochdanan, actually did that, and he drove a sword into his heart. And then, after Diablo realized he lost his host, he then took Leoric's son Albric. Prince Albric was a lot more susceptible to the demon's powers, and through Prince Albric, he manifests all the monsters in the cathedral. And the monsters of the cathedral through the dreams and nightmares of Prince Albric's mind. With the help of Lazarus, because basically talking through Lazarus allowed him to see that he could be a demigod, which he was lying to him to begin with. He brought Prince Albric down to the bowels of the cathedral so he could basically take over Prince Albric's body, and he was going to plunge the Soul Stone deep inside of his head. And so Prince Albric could be consumed with Diablo's essence and Diablo could walk the earth again. That's why Diablo in Diablo 2 has a Soul Stone in his head, but we'll get to that a little bit later. What the Herodrum didn't understand or do is all the superpowers actually harnessed their Soul Stone, even though it had captured them in their essence, and they actually used it, and it held their life force, and they never did get around to it. But what it is after Tristram, that's where Diablo 1 game series actually came from. You have three characters that came and tried to decipher the evil of Tristram and save the townsfolk, which storyline wise, the warrior done it. The warrior went to the depths of the cathedral, and he basically slain Diablo, reincarnated, and took his soul stone and plunged it into his own head. The reason he plunged it into his own head was because he felt he was strong enough to hold the essence of Diablo, much like the warrior Tal Rasha did with Baal. That's from what Cain did. But little to know, that's the start of Diablo 2. Diablo 2, you have the warrior fighting the essence of Diablo within him for years, but he finally gets overcome and took over, and Diablo actually walks the earth with the powerful warrior's body. Now you have a new group of heroes that go out and try to chase him down. Well, they're chasing him down through things like Luke Ghislaine, Kurast. You go through all the acts of Diablo 2, chasing Diablo, and you see that he resurrects all of his brothers. He resurrects Tal Rasha, who is chained up in the sand pits of Luke Ghislaine. fighting Baal for eternity. He resurrects Mephisto, which Mephisto had already broke out with had already influenced the priest of Zakharum, much like Diablo had did with Leorc and them. And end result, all three of them walk the earth. So what you do in Diablo 2 is you slain them again. You take their soul stones and crush it on the Hellforge, and thus destroying their essence, banishing them to who knows or wherever. I've always asked this question myself. What do you send a demon that's from hell? I mean, that you just didn't want to have access to hell and made the lesser powers actually have access. Because Osmodon and Belial, which are two of the characters that's never made an appearance in the series yet, they're two lesser evils which you can hear through in the Sin War in the original Diablo game. Which those two are basically the rulers of hell in the absence of Mephisto, Baal, and Diablo. I know this is starting to sound really fucking nerdy right now, but stick with me. But at the end of Diablo 2, Lord of Destruction, you end up breaking the World Stone, which I hope they kind of bring that into Diablo 3, because you just can't have them go back and, Leorc and the Fallen Star, which the Fallen Star, they don't really talk about what it does in the Diablo 3 beta. But you have to talk about the World Stone, because at the end of Diablo 2, Baal had corrupted to the World Stone. The World Stone was basically the barrier that kept hell from walking on Earth. And it would allow all the minions and demons from hell to walk this earth. And the Archangel Tyrael actually broke the World Stone, which was in Horgoth, with his sword Azurath, basically allowing hell to plummet onto Earth. See, this kind of led me to a bunch of different things. I've been speculating about Diablo for a while at that point, which obviously some of this is wrong, but we're going to see it in the long run. But that's the idea of Diablo in a nutshell. So Diablo 3 should be setting up somewhere around the World Stone and the evils, and you have a new set of heroes, or even the old set of heroes. I know there's like a barbarian and a wizard, but a new set of heroes set out in another part of the world to basically fight off the minions of the World Stone and maybe put it back together. But who knows? This is it, and people that are sitting here wondering about the game itself. I was actually bored last night. I wanted to play some 1v1 on World of Wars, and I used to do a lot in my pastime. It's Dome, in my opinion, is one of the best 1v1 maps ever to put out in the Call of Duty. I mean, but don't get me wrong, losing in a 1v1 is not something that's, makes you a better player. And this is how 1v1s are set up. Radar's on. You pretty much have a say of grenades or whatever you want to do. I mean, for the most part, stun grenades were never allowed, but, World of War had taboon grenades, which are really, really crap, and all they can do is really cut off a little section. They're like Nova gas grenades. But, as always, it's been your boy, Wings of Redemption. If you found this video informative, let me know, and if you could, please leave me a rating. As always, I'm Audi5000, and if you've watched this video this is actually a pretty good video. I'm really slack right now, because Treyarch and Infinity Ward have two different sensitivity settings, and I was just getting back in the groove of actually moving this fast and predicting people. As always, it's been your boy Wings of Redemption, and I'm Audi5000. Peace, pimps!